Welcome back to more LSAT games. As promised, today I'm going to do a full timed section. So it was requested, there should be a comment floating around here somewhere. It was requested that I do a full section with the 35-minute timer to kind of demonstrate the pacing that you need in order to be able to finish a game section. Now, to be sure, it's not necessarily in your best interest to finish a full game section. Depending on how you're doing on games overall, you may want to target only 3, maybe even 2 of the games, again, depending on how you're doing so far. But if you're going to target all 4 games, this is roughly what the pacing should look like. This is practice test 43. If you want to follow along, you can see the game up on screen right now, the first of 4 games. And again, we're going to attempt to get all of these done in the next 35 minutes. I've also got a timer that I think is going to be right above me, and we're going to go ahead and begin now. First game, questions 1 through 5. There are exactly 6 groups in this year's Civic Parade: F, G, J, M, P, and V. Each group marches as a unit. The groups are ordered from first at the front of the parade to 6th at the back, and the following conditions apply. So right away, this seems like a 1-to-1 order game. We've got 6 groups for 6 spaces. And I am just going to note front of the parade, back of the parade, so that I don't forget which is which. At least 2 groups march behind the puppeteers but ahead of the musicians. So P space M, and those spaces could be more. So we actually could have more items between P and M. Exactly 1 group marches behind the firefighters but ahead of the veterans. Okay, so this is nice because that's a block that we can use every time. The gymnasts are the 1st, 3rd, or 5th group. So I'm going to put that right on the diagram. Gymnasts are 1st, 3rd, or 5th. And if we want, we could go ahead and say, well, obviously that means they're not 2nd, they're not 4th, and they're not 6th. What else could we say for sure? Well, if the veterans have to be behind the firefighters and 1 other group, veterans can never go 1st or 2nd, firefighters can never go 5th or 6th. And similarly with the puppeteers and musicians can never be 1st, 2nd, or 3rd. Puppeteers can never be 4th, 5th, or 6th. I'm not seeing any other special connections here between the elements. J has no conditions about it, so that'll be interesting. We'll probably always end up placing J last. Well, let's go ahead and jump into question number 1. I see a pick a clue question. Which one of the following could be an accurate list of the groups in the Civic Parade in order from first to last? Well, the first clue said P space M, so A is out, B is out, and then E is out because M and P are in the wrong order. So 3 choices gone with just 1 clue. F space V, C has them in the wrong order. D has to be the right answer there. Number 2, first specific question. If the gymnasts march immediately ahead of the veterans, so that means it has to be F, G, V, blocked off, which one of the following could be the 4th group? Well, if the gymnasts are 1st, 3rd, or 5th, but in this case they have to go between F and V, there's no way they go first. So let's try F, G, V, 2, 3, 4, and F, G, V, 4, 5, 6. But I can already see a problem with FGV 4, 5, 6. There would be no room for the puppeteers and the musicians to be spaced apart the way that they need. So it must be in this case that G goes 3rd. P would have to be 1st then because it has to be spaced apart from the musicians. But I don't see any particular reason either the musicians or jugglers have to go somewhere. Did I say gymnasts earlier? J and G, they're easy to confuse. So that looks like a coin flip to me. Who could be 4th? Well, the veterans, right? And so number 2 is E. Number 3, if the veterans march immediately behind the puppeteers, which of the following could be the 2nd group? Well, if the veterans are behind the puppeteers, that means it has to be FPV and then at least 1 blank before we get to M. And so FPV could go 1, 2, 3, or 2, 3, 4, but that's the latest the puppeteers can ever go. If FPV goes 2, 3, 4, we know where the musicians have to be, and then in this case the gymnasts and the jugglers would form a 50-50 because they could go in either slot. In the other scenario, G has to be 5th, because G always goes 1/3, first, third, or fifth. And then the musicians would have to be sixth in that case to be far enough away from the puppeteers. And so the jugglers, again, that element that had no clue about it, basically always ends up getting placed last here. So those are really the only two possible scenarios. Who could be the second group? Well, P or F, and F is answer choice A, so number 3 is A. Number 4, another specific questions, if jugglers are fifth. So this is interesting because, again, jugglers are that element that had no clue about it, so this time they're telling us jugglers are fifth. What must be true? Well, remember, gymnasts also have to be one of the elements that could go fifth, first, third, or fifth. If they're not going fifth in this case, then it would have to be that they're going first or third. So let's go ahead and see what happens if they go first, and let's see what happens if they go third. If they go first, where are we going to put that F blank V block? We can't put it as late as 4 and 6 because then P and M would have to be right next to each other. And the only other place it could possibly fit is second and fourth. And so P and M just fill out the remaining slots, being spaced apart from each other. The same thing ends up being true in the other scenario. If we put F and V too late, there's no room for P and M, so we're going to have to put them second and fourth, and then P and M go there and there. So pretty much the same scenarios. The only thing that switches is the GP 50-50 here in slots 1 and 3. What must be true? Puppeteers are the first group. Doesn't have to be true. Firefighters are the first group. Nope. Veterans are the second group. Nope. Gymnasts are the third group. Could be true, but not a must be true, so it has to be E. Last question, the only general question here, number 5, which of the following cannot march immediately behind the gymnasts? Let's see, who's been behind the gymnasts so far? Could have been any of F, V, or M so far. So I can cross off A, I can cross off E, I can cross off C. Jugglers, my least restricted element. Can I ever put G and then J? Well, remember, G always goes first, third, or fifth. And so the only way that that could work here is if G immediately followed in 2, 4, or 6. The problem with that is if I try and space P and M apart, then I can't fit the FV block, and that would happen in both of the first and last scenarios. The problem in the middle scenario is there's no room at all for the FV block to begin with, so I guess that is in fact impossible. So number 5 is B. Now, if you're doing a full section, definitely you don't want to be in the habit of now pausing and checking your answers, because on the real thing you won't be able to do that. So I'm just going to move right along to the second game, questions 6 through 12. A rowing team uses a boat with exactly 6 seats arranged in single file and numbered sequentially 1 through 6 from the front of the boat to the back. 6 athletes, Lee, Miller, so let's go ahead and write down our elements, L, M, O, S, V, and Z. Each row at exactly one of the seats, the following restrictions must apply. Miller rows closer to the front than Singh. It's all about their orderings with respect to each other. So I think I'm going to set this up as a range game or a tree branch diagram game, meaning even though it's an order game and I could go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, I'm actually just going to set up a little diagram based on these clues. For example, M dot 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 S, M is closer to the front than S. Are they in like, yeah, 6 seats, single file 1 through 6. I was worried that they were like 2 people at the same row or something, but that's not going on here. Singh rows closer to the front than both Lee and Valeria, so S dot 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 L, S dot 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 V. V and Z each row closer to the front than O, so V dot 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 O, Z dot 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 O. And then I can take these clues, let's actually move them over here, and what I'm going to do is build a little diagram based on what I see there. M has to be before S, who is before both L and V. V is before O, and Z is before O. And so I took care of all 5 of these clues. M before S before L, S before V, V before O, Z before O. And I can see based on this diagram the only elements that could go last are L or O. The only elements that could go first are M or Z. and I can kind of stretch these links as far or as compressed as I need them to be to make the game work. Does not look like we have a pick a clue style question, so I'm just going to jump in with number 7 right away. If V is in seat 5, well, that means that O has to follow in seat 6, and then M, S, and L, along with Z, are just going to be in some order 1 through 4. But that's not really going to help me on a must be true, and so I can see number 7 is E. If Lee rose at seat 3, then each of the following could be true except. So this is really a must be false. And if Lee is third, that means that M and S have to go in front of Lee, and that has to be slots 1 and 2 in this case. After that, that means that O must be last, and then V and Z are just going to kind of flip around in between for those slots 4 and 5. So could be true except Z rows immediately behind V. That's definitely possible. O rows immediately behind V. That's also possible. O rows behind Z. Also possible. V rows behind L. Also possible. So it has to be answer choice E for number 8, process of elimination. All right, number 11. If Valerio rose closer to the front than Zeta, which of the following must be true? So if V is in front of Z, that means that O is, I was going to say O is for sure the last element, but that's not really true, is it? Because it could be something like V, Z, O, L. L could still stretch out as far as we need. So really the only thing I know is that V has to go before, well, Z. That's what they told us. I guess we could say M has to be first in this case. And yes, that would specifically mean M rows immediately in front of Sing, because the only element that can go between M and S is Z. So in this case, if Z is after V, that's impossible. Man, I hope I get all these questions right. What do I want to do next? So it looks like number 12 is a complex question. They're replacing one of our conditions, so I'm going to skip that one. Oh wait, number 6. Kind of a pick a clue. I missed that question. Which of the following could be an accurate matching of athletes to seats? M is first, V is 5, L is 6. Well, there's no room for O in that case, so that's no good. S is 3, V is 4, Z is 5. No, because that would require something like S, V, Z, O. And then there's no room. Hold on. S is 3. V is 4. Z is 5. O would have to be 6 in that case, and then there's no room for L. So that's impossible. M is first. V is third. L is last. That seems right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, it should be answer choice C for number 6. I know I shouldn't do this, but I just want to check real quick. L is third, V is fourth, O is fifth. Nope, if L is somewhere other than last, O has to be last, and vice versa. Z is second, V is third. No, that's impossible, because then there's not going to be room for the MS block. So yeah, I feel pretty good that number 6 is C. I guess we'll do 9 and 10 now. Which of the following cannot be true? Number 9. O rows closer to the front than S. Yeah, that's impossible. So number 9 is A. And then number 10, exactly how many different seats could be the seat occupied by Zeta? Well, Zeta could go anywhere but last, I think. First, second, third, fourth, fifth, just not last. So that's 5 different seats that Zeta could occupy. Yeah, how many different seats? All right, number 12, the complex question. Suppose the restriction that Miller rows closer to the front than Singh is replaced by the restriction that Singh rows closer to the front than Miller. If the other 2 restrictions remain in effect, each of the following could be an accurate matching of athletes to seats except. So another must be false. Miller rows closer to the front than Singh is the one that they're taking away. And they're saying it's flipped, S dot 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 M. Well, if that's true, then S is before M, L, and V, which is before O, and still Z is in front. But otherwise, I don't know that that changes anything. Each of the following could be an accurate matching except either S or Z always have to go first, but any of M, L, and O could now go last. So I guess we'll just go through one at a time. S is first, Z is second, and Miller is last. That definitely seems possible. I don't see anything wrong there. S is first, V is third, O is fifth. Yeah, I think that's possible now because we could shift M to the back. S is third. Ooh, that's a problem. Every element other than Z has to go after S, so the latest S can ever go right now is second, and so C should be the answer to number 12. All right, so we've got 20 minutes left. We're doing pretty good on pacing. Those were 2 easy games, but decent number of questions. What is that? Yeah, 11, 12 questions so far. Let's keep going. Exactly 6 of an artist's paintings, Q, R, S, T, V, and Z. Q, R, S, T, V, and Z are sold at auction. 3 of the paintings are sold to a museum, and 3 are sold to a private collector. 2 of the paintings are from the artist's first period, second period, third period. All right, so this is a 2-dimensional order game. First period, second period, third period. And in each case, they're sold either to the museum or to the private collector. So we're going to set it up that way. S, which is sold to a private collector. So S, a couple ways we could symbolize this. I'm just going to say S can't go on top. Is from an earlier period than Z, which is sold to the museum. So Z does not go down here. And S dot 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 Z. So I'm going to go ahead and do some deductions at the same time. This means that Z can't be from the first period at all, and S can't be from the last period at all. And one thing we want to keep in mind here is that 2 paintings could be sold from the same period, but not S and Z, because it does specify earlier period. See, so this next clue, Q is not from an earlier period than T. So Q dot 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 T not. This is not the same thing as saying T is from an earlier period than Q, because they could be from the same period. So either T before Q or TQ are in the same period. Veil is from the artist's second period, so V for sure goes here or here, but I don't know if it's the museum or the private collector. If T and Q could be in the same period, then they could go in any of 1, 2, 3. I can't say for sure where they can't go. So I think I'm going to jump into the questions. 13, which one of the following could be an accurate list of the paintings bought by the museum and the private collector listed in order from first to third? Well, let's take that last clue. V has to be in the second period, which I see yes on A, yes on B, yes on C, not on D though, yes on E. All right. S is before Z. A is good. B is good. C is good. E is not good. S has to be the private collector. Z has to be the museum. So A is good. B is good. C is no good. And then Q is not before T. So A is no good, right? But then on B, yeah, they're in the same period. So B is the answer to number 13. 14, specific question here. If S is from the artist's second period, which of the following could be 2 of the 3 paintings bought by the private collector? So basically the 2 paintings other than S. Well, we know V has to go in the second period, so V is done. Q is not before T. Z is going to have to be first or third, and it's going to go to the museum, of course. So anything with Z is out. So we can cross off A and D. What else can we say? By the private collector. Again, Z is no good for the private collector. So we can cross off E, R and T or R and V. In this case, V had to be bought by a museum, so it must be answer choice B. 16, another specific question. If S is from the artist's second period, which of the following paintings could be from the period immediately preceding Q's period and be sold to the same buyer as Q? Interesting. Okay. I guess they're implying Q can't go first here. And if S is from the second period, that's actually the same stem as number 14, so we can set up the same thing, V over S. Q, they're saying, has to go somewhere that there's a previous period. Hold on. Whoops, my timer got messed up. So, which of the following paintings could be from the period immediately preceding Q and be sold to the same buyer? Well, it's either V or S, so I can cross off A, C, and E. And then why would Q have to end up going to either the private collector or the museum in this case? I mean, what all is possible? We have R, T, and Z. Aha. So that's actually something we could have figured out in the previous scenario that I didn't see. Z has to go after S, and Z always goes to the museum. So in this case, for sure, we can say Z would have to go third. And so again, if Q has something before it, it would have to have S sold to the same buyer before it. And so 16 is B. 17, if Z is sold to the same buyer as T and is from the period immediately preceding T's period, which of the following must be true? So basically what we end up here with is this kind of S dot 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 Z dot 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 T relationship. And so the question is, how could that work out? Well, that would mean that S has to go to the private collector in period 1. Z has to go to the museum in period 2. T and Q have to go in some order. Well, I should say to one of the buyers, both in period 3, because Q can't be before T. V, of course, always goes second. R would have to be whatever's left over, R being this element that didn't have any clues about it. So what must be true? Q is sold to the museum? Not necessarily. Q is from the artist's third period? Yes. And again, I shouldn't be doing this, but just to make sure, R is sold to the private collector? Not true. R is from third period? Not true. R is same buyer as Vale? Not true. So we only have one more here. Which one of the following is a complete and accurate list of the paintings, any one of which could be the painting from the artist's first period that is sold to the private collector? So who has ever gone first to the private, first to the private collector? Well, we know S has been there for sure. Could have been T or R in a scenario like this one. What was the other element that it could have been there? T, R. It can never be Z, of course, because Z always goes to the museum. So any answer choice with Z is no good. But we need all of T, R, and S. T, R, S, T, R, S, T, R, S, T, R, S, and apparently Q, I guess. 15 should be D. The urge to check the answers is just getting so, it's rising. But we just have one game left, 5 questions. Let's go ahead and knock this out. I think we're probably good on pacing. 11 minutes for 5 questions. Each of exactly 6 lunch trucks sells a different one of 6 kinds of food. F, H, I, P, S, T. Verhipst. Each truck serves one or more of exactly 3 office buildings. X, Y, or Z, the following conditions apply. Interesting. So this is a grouping game, but it's not clear to me. I think probably the most sense making way to set up the diagram is to put the buildings at the top. But sometimes with games like this, you could actually switch it and do what seem like the elements at the top of your diagram and what seems like it should be the diagram as the body, as the elements. I think, though, in this case, I'm just going to go with X, Y, Z as my diagram. X, Y, Z, my office buildings. And I'm going to be placing the things in those office buildings. Each truck serves one or more of the office buildings, so I can reuse these elements. This is a little tough. F, H, and exactly one other truck each serve Y. Okay, well, exactly one other truck. So Y is done at 3, and we know 2 of them are F and H. That's pretty nice, okay. The falafel truck serves exactly 2 of the office buildings, so falafel goes twice. And so basically, either falafel is going to serve X or Z along with Y, but not both. The ice cream truck serves more of the office buildings than the salad truck. So I don't typically like symbolizing clues mathematically, but in this case, I'm going to go with it. I only have 10 minutes left. I is greater than S, right? So that means S can't go all 3 times. I could say that. And it means that I definitely can't go just once. So that could be useful. The ice cream truck, oh, we already did that. The taco truck does not serve Y. So T is not going to serve Y. That also means T can't go all 3 times, if need be. The falafel truck does not serve any office building that the pita truck serves. So F and P do not like each other. They never go together. That means that the pita truck can't serve Y at all. And it also means we're going to end up with this 50-50 between the falafel and the pita truck. And in fact, that also means P goes exactly 1 time. And for that matter, I guess I didn't write this down, but we already knew F goes exactly twice. We did say that already. That was a clue. The taco truck serves 2 office buildings that are also served by the ice cream truck. Okay, interesting. So we already said T can't go 3 times. And we know that the ice cream truck could go 3 times but can't go once. So basically, we're going to have to see an IT block twice. And so that means it would have to be in X and in Z. So again, the idea is the taco truck has to serve 2 office buildings with ice cream, but we know the taco truck can't serve office building Y. And so we're going to have to fit those 2 blocks elsewhere in the game. And so that's what I'm doing in buildings X and Z. So there's quite a bit we know about this. Now, I don't know that X and Z are done because I still don't know where the salad truck goes right now. But we're doing pretty good. Which of the following could be a complete and accurate list of each of the office buildings that the falafel truck serves? Well, F could go anywhere. Yeah, so I think the answer is C there. Do we have a specific question? Number 20, if the ice cream truck serves fewer of the office buildings than the hot dog truck, which of the following is a pair of lunch trucks that must serve exactly the same buildings as each other? All right, interesting. I actually forgot about the hot dog truck. So what we're saying here is that the hot dog truck serves more than the ice cream truck. Since we already know that the ice cream truck goes at least twice, let's go ahead and bring down what we know, F and H. F/P, P/F. It has to be the case that the hot dog truck goes all 3 times. Ice cream truck goes exactly twice. Salad truck goes exactly once, which I guess means it has to fill out this other blank in building Y. And I think that's it. That's the whole scenario. So what serves exactly the same buildings as each other? Well, I and T for sure. Is that it? I and T? Oh, yeah. That's answer choice E. Okay, nice. And then I just have general questions left. 3 general questions in 6 minutes. I think we're going to do it. Number 9, for which of the following pairs of trucks must it be the case that at least one of the office buildings is served by both of the trucks? Is that just I and T again? No. For which one of the following pairs of trucks must it be the case that at least one of the office buildings is served by both of the trucks? H doesn't have to go a set number of times, so I don't think it's H and P. H and T, again, H and T don't necessarily go together because the taco truck never serves building Y, so I don't think it's B. I and P? Ah, interesting. Yes, I and P are going to have to be together either in building X or in building Z. And so it has to be answer choice C. No, can you turn that down, please? Normally I would cut this out, but not today, I guess. Number 21, which of the following could be a complete and accurate list of the lunch trucks, each of which serves all three of the buildings? Could be. Well, the hot dog truck for sure. We've already seen it serve all three. So I can cross off anything that doesn't have the hot dog truck. Could the ice cream truck go all three times? Yes. Yeah. So it has to have the ice cream truck on it as well. And the pita truck definitely can't go all three times, so 21 has to be A. And then which one of the following lunch trucks cannot serve both X and Z? Well, either F or P, right? Answer choice C. Whew! That was tough. I think we can stop our timer here. Should I just let it keep going? I'll let it keep counting down. I need it, for future videos anyway. Okay, now maybe we missed some questions, right? Let's not get overconfident just yet. Let's pull up our answers. Section 4. Go side by side here. All right. D, E, A, E, B. Game 1, 5 for 5. Very nice. C, E, E, A, D, A, C, C, E, E, A, D, A, C. Very good. Game 2, 7 for 7. B, B, D, B, 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 D, B, B. Game 3, 5 for 5. And finally, C, C, E, A, C. We missed one. No. 18 is C, but then C, E, A, C. Oh no. Okay. What happened on 18? Which one of the following could be a complete and accurate list of each of the office buildings? Oh. I think what they mean, this is kind of frustrating. They don't mean what's a complete and accurate list of the buildings that the falafel truck could serve, because that would be all three. They mean like what's a complete and accurate list of the buildings that like it is actually serving, but there are different possibilities. So what could that list be? Does that distinction make sense? Not a super fantastically phrased question, if you ask me. But either way, I see what they're saying now. Falafel truck can't go all three times, so we should have crossed off C. It always has to go in building Y. And so, of course, we can cross off everything except for answer choice D. That kind of looks like a D, right? Yeah, we answered D. All right, not too bad. We're actually still on our 35 minutes. We've checked our work. We figured out why we missed a question. And what are you going to do? Occasionally you miss questions, I guess. That's the pacing. Roughly 8 minutes per game, I think, is probably what I stuck to there. I'll have to go back and check the timer to know for sure. Probably, even though we missed a question, I guess maybe I'd say 18 through 22 is the hardest game here. But it's a little close. A two-dimensional order game, can be a little bit weird, especially with a clue like this Q is not before T clue. So those last two games, I would say, are similar in difficulty. Probably you got to give the edge to the grouping game where you can reuse the elements. That is going to be a little bit more difficult. Whereas over here, once we placed a painting, it was done, right? It didn't end up in more than one spot in the game. So yeah, probably 18 through 22 is the hardest game in this section. I don't feel like it took us the most time, though. I think either of the middle two games ended up taking more time. The second game, just because, it had way more questions. But in any case, there you have it. That's how you would roughly pace yourself if you're planning to finish an entire section. Again, it's not necessarily the best idea to try and finish an entire section, but if you're going to do it, that's what it looks like. 8 to 10 minutes per game, a little bit faster on the easier games, maybe a little bit slower on the tougher games. Probably if we had needed to, we could have saved time with some process of elimination where I checked answers I really didn't necessarily need to. But yeah, there you have it. As always, I'm working through all 300-ish games of the various LSAT releases. If you have a game you'd like me to move up in the order, put it in the comments down below. Let me know. And otherwise, I'll see y'all next time.